Right now, somewhere in your bathroom, there is a box of tampons or pads or a menstrual cup sitting in a drawer. You bought it at a store. You didn't think twice about it. It's just there, the same way toilet paper is just there. But for 99.9% of human history, none of that existed. No pads, no tampons, no pharmacy on the corner. For over 300,000 years, every woman who ever lived dealt with the same biological reality, using nothing but whatever she could pull from the ground beneath her feet. So, what did they actually do? The answer reshapes everything we assume about the female body, about ancient life, and about a biological cycle that most of human history barely even experienced. Let's start with the part nobody expects. Your ancient ancestors almost never had periods. A modern woman living in an industrialized country will menstruate roughly 450 times in her lifetime. That is about 40 years of monthly cycles, from her first period around age 12 to menopause somewhere around age 50. But a woman living 50,000 years ago? Anthropologist Beverly Strassman studied the Dogon people of Mali, one of the last populations on Earth still living without modern contraception. She found that Dogon women menstruated roughly 100 times in their entire lives. Other researchers studying hunter-gatherer populations have put the number as low as 50. That is not a typo. 50 periods in an entire lifetime versus 450. The difference is enormous, and the reasons behind it explain almost everything about how ancient women actually lived. The first reason is that ancient girls did not get their periods when modern girls do. In the United States today, the average age of a girl's first period is about 12. In hunter-gatherer societies, that number was closer to 16 or 17. The reason is body fat. The human reproductive system requires a certain threshold of energy reserves before it will switch on. Ancient girls were lean. They walked miles every day foraging beside their mothers. They ate when food was available, which was not always. Their bodies simply did not have the caloric surplus to trigger menstruation that early. So for the first 16 or 17 years of an ancient woman's life, periods were not even part of the equation. Then came pregnancy. Without any form of contraception, most women became pregnant within a year or two of their first menstrual cycle. And this is where the math changes everything. Pregnancy lasts 9 months. During those 9 months, no menstruation. Then comes breastfeeding, and not the kind you see today. Among the Juhowansi people of the Kalahari Desert, mothers breastfed their children on demand, sometimes dozens of times per day, for 3 to 4 years straight. This constant nursing triggered a condition called lactational amenorrhea. The body produces high levels of the hormone prolactin during intense breastfeeding, and prolactin suppresses ovulation entirely. No ovulation means no period. So a typical ancient woman's reproductive life looked something like this. First period around 16 or 17. Pregnant within a year. 9 months of pregnancy. 3 to 4 years of breastfeeding with no cycle at all. Then maybe a few months of menstruation before becoming pregnant again. This pattern repeated 5, 6, sometimes 7 times until her body could no longer sustain it. Some women went years between periods. Some went a decade. The thing that modern women experience every single month of their adult lives was a rare event for most of human history. Your body was not designed for 450 cycles. It was built for maybe 50. But it did happen. And when it did, there was no drugstore. There was no cotton. There was nothing manufactured for the purpose. So what did they use? The honest answer is, whatever the land provided. Soft moss was one of the most common materials across cultures and climates. Sphagnum moss, the kind found in bogs and wetlands, is naturally absorbent. It can hold up to 20 times its own weight in liquid. Women packed it between their legs or wrapped it inside strips of soft animal skin to hold it in place. In drier regions, they used dried grass, bark fibers, or pieces of animal hide. Some groups used nothing at all. Ethnographic accounts from indigenous communities around the world describe women simply wearing dark wraps or skirts during menstruation, or allowing the blood to flow freely while continuing their day. There was no cultural expectation to conceal it. The idea that menstrual blood must be captured and hidden is largely a modern invention. For most of history, it was just blood. But here is what is more interesting than what they used. It is what they did. In dozens of cultures across every inhabited continent, women who were menstruating separated themselves from the rest of the group. They went to specific places. Anthropologists call them menstrual huts or menstrual lodges. The modern assumption is that this was punishment, that women were banished because they were considered unclean or dangerous. But the anthropological record tells a different story. Among the Yurok people of Northern California, a menstruating woman was considered to be at the height of her spiritual power. Seclusion was not exile, it was concentration. She was removed from daily tasks, not because she was contaminated, but because her energy was considered too intense for ordinary life. Among the Kalasha people of Pakistan, the communal menstrual house called the Bashali functioned as something closer to a retreat. Women gathered there together. They told stories, shared food, laughed, and rested, while the men and children managed the household without them. For women who spent every other day of the month working from dawn to dark, the Bashali was the only break biology had built into their lives. And then there is the ochre. Across archaeological sites in Africa, dating back more than 100,000 years, researchers have found something they cannot fully explain. Red ochre everywhere, ground into powder, smeared on skin, mixed with animal fat, applied to tools, to bones, to the walls of caves. It is one of the oldest and most widespread substances in the entire human archaeological record, and some researchers believe it is directly connected to menstruation. Anthropologists Camilla Power and Chris Knight proposed that early human women used red ochre to simulate menstrual blood on their bodies. Their theory, called the Female Cosmetic Coalition's hypothesis, argues that as humans evolved, women lost the visible signs of ovulation that other primates display. Menstruation became the most obvious marker of reproductive status. Power and Knight argued that women began painting their skin with red ochre as a collective social signal, a way to amplify and control what that blood meant. If this theory holds, then the first symbolic act in human history, the first time any human decorated a body with pigment for social meaning, was not art for art's sake. It was blood, or at least it was meant to look like it. Culture may have been born from menstruation. As civilizations emerged, so did new methods. In ancient Egypt, women may have used softened papyrus fashioned into something resembling a primitive tampon, though historians now say the evidence is thinner than once believed. In medieval Europe, women used rags. They washed and reused them for years. That is where the phrase "on the rag" comes from. Then, during World War I, French nurses on the front lines noticed something. The cellulose bandages they used to dress wounds absorbed blood far better than any cloth they had ever seen. After the war ended, the Kimberly-Clark Company took that same material and turned it into a product called Kotex. The first commercially available disposable menstrual pad went on sale in 1920. And within a single generation, the way women had managed menstruation for 300,000 years was replaced by something you could buy in a box. And here is the part that should unsettle you. Evolutionary biologists now call what modern women experience an evolutionary mismatch. Your body was designed for a life of frequent pregnancy and years of breastfeeding, a life in which the ovaries rarely cycled. Instead, modern women ovulate every single month for decades. Each ovulation triggers cell division in the ovaries. Each division is a chance for mutation. Researchers have linked the dramatically higher number of lifetime ovulations in modern women to increased rates of ovarian and endometrial cancers, conditions that were virtually non-existent in ancestral populations. The hormonal birth control pill, which suppresses ovulation, actually lowers these risks, not because it treats a disease, but because it accidentally recreates something closer to the hormonal pattern your body was built for. The ancient pattern, the one where 450 cycles was never supposed to happen. For 300,000 years, menstruation was rare, brief, and woven into the social fabric of the group. Women bled into moss or bark or nothing at all. They gathered in lodges and rested while their bodies did what bodies do. They may have painted themselves red and turned biology into the first human symbol. And then, in the space of a single century, we replaced all of that with a plastic-wrapped product on a shelf. A product most women buy without speaking and use without being seen. As if the most ancient and universal process in the female body is something that needs to be hidden. Your ancestors did not hide it. They did not have a reason to. That is the part we lost. And most of us never even knew it was there. That's all for today. Anyway, please donate and subscribe to fund the next video.